Okay, welcome, beautiful souls, to another episode of the Spiritual Catalyst podcast, where we talk about all things weird and woo. I am your host, Sarah Lyons, founder of newearthschool.com.au, and today we have the beautiful Elizabeth Elenor here, and we're going to be talking about how to call in your magical partner by aligning with the codes of creation. So just a little bit about Elizabeth. She is a Elizabeth's whole world changed when a psychic told her, "You can do what I can, but obviously you don't know it." And this opened a door to 7 years of intense training in past life regression, which led her to exploring the many layers around vibrational frequency, energy, and dimensions. She also discovered the link between the science of quantum physics, epigenetics, and the vast realms of alchemy. And it was here where she stripped many layers of trauma and emotional dysfunction as she remembered her spiritual sovereignty. After 25 plus years of evolving through spiritual practices and techniques, Elizabeth is now a qualified magnetic mind coach and founder of Awakening Wild Women, Choosing Conscious Relationships, guiding women to their superconscious intuition, divine wisdom, and creative genius. Accessing this sacred aspect of our consciousness is the ultimate reality shift in living the life you were placed on earth to experience. That is just like, I love that. I love everything about that. I'm all about this. And for those who are listening, beautiful Elizabeth, firstly, welcome. I know some of us are going, wow, lots of really cool words here. Alchemy, quantum physics, all the things. How does all of this layer into how to call in your magical partner by aligning with the codes of creation? So firstly, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Oh, such a pleasure, such a pleasure. And thank you, Sarah, for having me. It's such a beautiful, but the spiritual catalyst, right, is just that's really resonates to so many people these days, isn't it? Because waking up to our spiritual sovereignty and recognizing who we are as creators, and shifting out of having to look at our dysfunction all the time. And really, really step into owning that we are creating our reality. So thank you for having me on here.
So welcome. It's so good to have you here. And I'm really looking forward to hearing all about what you do and how this pertains to calling in your magical partner. And for those that maybe already have partners, can this work help maybe deepen the relationship or make it more magical for them?
Oh, absolutely. So as you know, I shared on all that information that you just shared is, I woke up spiritually, I'd say around about 25 years ago now. And it was a psychic that went, what are you doing? You can actually do what I can do. And I was a single mum at the time, and I've had a lot of challenges going backwards and forwards in relationships, and finding myself attracting, you know, uh, people or men that were dysfunctional in some way that I had to heal, and being the healer, like that was my role. And also men that had sort of a lot of narcissistic tendencies. And so I spent more time by myself than I did with a partner, because I was like trying to work out who I was, trying to be a mum to two little kids, and also, not wanting these relationships where they just felt so dysfunctional, and brought up so much of my own personal damage from my childhood. And
Mm.
so it was a long process of clearing old patterns, and 7 years of past life regression is a long time. It was very intense training, and then through that process, I started discovering myself as a healer, and got really interested in quantum physics and epigenetics, and all the science based catalysts that are shifting the world at the moment, and recognizing, there's a combination of, it's not just the science and the brain, that there's a way more information out there that can be supporting us to recognize who we are. And so I went through a long time of discovering all of this and having my moments of, how come I'm attracting all of these dickheads? What am I attracting? These partners, and they're damaged, and they're this and they're that. And then realizing, well, actually, my dad was on a kidney machine for most of my life, and he died when I was 15. And I was going to be a nurse, so I was going to be the one that was going to heal him and look after him. And so here I was, creating this pattern of men that were damaged and broken, because I still had that little girl trying to heal the masculine. And then, my mum had narcissistic behaviors, and here I was creating that in my reality, in my relationships as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I started recognizing this was, I was also learning the secrets of alchemy, and a process called recoding that is just so fast and so much easier and permanent than past life regression and hypnosis and NLP and all of the things, because you're working with the codes that actually created all of that dysfunction in the first place. And at that level, it actually doesn't matter. Like, it's just an experience. Like, it doesn't matter whether you want it or not. It's just an experience. And because of that, and this place is what I call the superconscious. In the superconscious, you don't actually have to hold those codes forever. You can actually shift them, and you can shift them really, really quickly. So I started doing this around about 4 years ago, and my whole world changed. My business, went to multiple six figures. I moved to a beautiful location, at the beach. I went through a massive healing process of my own. I had a 4.5 centimeter brain tumor that I was able to get rid of really easily. Just all of these things. And so everything was going well. And then I went, the last little, cherry on top is the man. And so, yeah, I just had this magical, I can share it with you, of the way that I met my beautiful partner. Yeah, so I had moved to the beach and was living, like walking distance. And I'd been online doing, almost 12 hours of very intense training that I was teaching. And I thought, before I go and have dinner, I'm just going to go to the beach and ground and get some of this energy out, and then I'll make my dinner. So I went to the beach, and there was no one else on the beach at the time, and the ocean, the waves were huge. So I'm doing a Facebook Live, and this guy walks past, and he says hello to me as I'm doing this live. And I've never ever interact with anyone else while I'm doing a live. I just, usually sort of maybe I might nod or something, but I actually wave at him. You see me wave in the Facebook Live. So from his end, he said he got all the way to the end of the beach and was like, who on earth was that? He just felt this calling to come back. And he said it took me about 5 minutes to get the guts to come back. And he walked back. I'd finished my live. And I said to him, aren't the waves big? And so we just stood there and started talking. And next thing, we were walking down the beach, and he's writing to all the things that I love, like sunsets and sunrises, and he's showing me on his phone all the photos he's taken. And yeah, it's really where it started. And he had lived in the street next to me, and we had never met.
Wow.
And his last name is Makepeace. Like, it's just like, yeah. And so I just felt really comfortable with him straight away.
Mm-hmm.
But I did have a little bit that I needed to shift, because I wasn't saying yes straight away. I was like, he's got a few things. He was actually presenting as a bit of a weak man. He'd had some damage from previous, he'd been in a marriage for 20 odd years.
Yeah.
And I was saying no, but he just kept on persisting. And I like, man, I really like this guy. We got on so well and we enjoyed the same things. And then after a while, I recognized what was going on. And he was just like, I love you. I want to be with you, and I'm like, yeah, no, 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 let's just be friends. Even though there was parts of me that was really attracted to him, and I was having all these other experiences with him and enjoying, like all the getting to know each other. And there was this beautiful sort of romance happening, but it was all very gentle and subtle. And very much the fairy tale, actually. It was quite amazing. But then all of a sudden, like he was eating some food or something that I said to him. I heard it was the second time I said it. I said, oh, you shouldn't eat that. I don't want you to die on me. Don't die on me. And when I said it the second time, something just hit me really hard. And it just, this whole process went through my body, where I realized that um, the last person to love me as deeply as he loved me was my dad, and he died on me when I was 15.
Yes.
And so once I cleared that, I did some recoding on that. It's like we're now engaged, we're living together, life is bliss. We've had one or two moments, and generally it's because of external factors, not our relationship, but a couple of moments that we've just had to process together. But yeah, it's when you recognize that you are creating your life and you clear all of the things that are limiting you from doing that, that's when you become aligned with the flow of creation, and life becomes full of miracles and magic. And people go, how is that happening to you? And it's just that you're in flow with what we're here to be. And
Yeah.
that is massive creators.
I totally agree. And I love the superconscious creation. And I really firmly believe that this is the way the earth is going, as many light workers such as, you and I and many others are ushering in this beautiful new earth or golden age, whatever we want to call it. And this is the way, instant healing, really quick healing. And I'm just so passionate about that happening in this lifetime. And people like you are paving the way, showing us that it's possible. And I love this. One question I'm wondering if our listeners might have this is, it's happened to you. You met the love of your life. And I know, I had similar stories, dysfunctional man after dysfunctional man. And at some point, some of us might get to a space where we give up hope or think, maybe I'm going to be lonely for the rest of my life. Do you truly believe that there is someone for everyone that we can meet? And I say this as a married woman, but I'm asking for the collective, that we can meet that person.
I do. If you've got a deep desire, there's some sort of knowing within you that you're here and that you want to fall in love, or you want to meet someone that is going to, be your soulmate, or whatever your language is, then that whole energy is part of your purpose, and you're here to experience that. And yes, there's another soul out there that's having the same experience. If you're someone that you just know deep down that you just want to be by yourself for the rest of your life, and you're not interested in having children, you're not interested in, you're just here to experience.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
there's many people like that.
Yep.
Then that's not for you. And you know, maybe there's someone out there, but both of you may be in that space of, you know, you're not here for that. You're here to experience being single, being, you know, experiencing yourself, being one, you know, one focus in your life, or whatever it might be. But if you've got that real desire, then yes, that desire is because it's magnetically attracting
Mm-hmm.
to your creation, and you are feeling that, you're calling it in.
Yeah. I totally believe that, you know, if we have a desire, that's because it's possible for us. And you know, some of us were meant to have multiple divine life partners, such as myself.
Absolutely.
I had
Absolutely.
many until I finally settled down. I believe a part of me believes that that is connected to our starseed aspects, such as the Venusians, you know, very love based and just meant to be, get a lot of fulfillment, sharing love with another person. Like, it's so big, isn't it? It's so
It
big.
is, because you look at the confined information, you know, the limitations that have been placed on us over history,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that and patterns of behavior come from ways of discovering who we are in the world and being able to define our boundaries and our understanding. And some of the biblical texts say, you know, one person, let's get married, blah, 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 because, you know, at the time, historically, there was rampage going on, and there was a lot of promiscuity, or, you know, like there was a lot of, you know, violence and abuse. And so it was a way of creating rules and structure to support some sort of foundation of falling in love with one person. But once we've had that from a collective, then there's way more scope to recognize ourselves as heart-centered beings here to experience ourselves as love and freedom and connection and creators. And so, you know, that's why you can fall in love with more than one person. That's why, if you've got that scope to actually have the emotional maturity to go, I'm in love with you and I want to have this experience with you now. Oh, I'm feeling that I'm ready to move on, and that person's feeling the same, and you know, there's this gentle movement away, and then you find someone else, and I'm female, I'm with a female, I'm male, I'm with a male, I'm, you know, like I'm feeling these different feelings, but they're coming from a purity and not from dysfunction. That's the key. Because
Yeah.
often they're coming from a dysfunction where we're trying to fix ourselves. We're trying to come from a place of, I feel lonely, I want to find love. I feel unworthy, I want to find my worthiness. And so we couple from our dysfunction, instead of coming from, I'm feeling I just want to experience love. And so I have love within me, and now I want to experience it outside of myself. And so it's a whole different experience, right? Is going, this is an experience I'm having, instead of this is a wound I'm trying to mask or band-aid.
Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad you covered that, because I've been witnessing a real you know, these new children being born, my son being one of them. They're really coming through so heart-centered that they don't care whether the partner they attract is male or female. They're looking for that soul connection love, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And isn't it, you know, isn't it interesting that we have been so conditioned to believe that if you love someone, then you have to be in this structure. You've got to, you know, that means sex, that means, one sort of partnership. That means one set of rules. But I actually, before I met Tim, I had been on a dating site, and I'd met this guy down this way, down where I'm living, and he seemed like a really nice guy and everything was going on well, until I noticed a couple of things. Like, the first time I noticed something was when he answered the phone, and he answered it like he answered the phone to me. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I noticed this moment, and I let go of it. There was a couple of moments like that. And he had this thing that he was here to love all women. And I'm like, okay. But then I noticed that he was treating women exactly the same as he was treating me. And there was no jealousy whatsoever, but I noticed there was something in me that was going, something just doesn't feel right. And then there was this one moment when I called him out on it, right?
Yeah.
And he said, well, wait a minute, you're a spiritual woman, like, shouldn't I be allowed, like, I should be allowed to love all women. Why is it that I'm having sex with you, like, I should be able to love all women. You're my one partner. And it took me a moment, because I went, actually, you're right. There is this belief inside of me that he should be allowed to love all women. Mm-hmm. But then there was this other belief inside of me that was, I want to be his woman, and he's my man. Mm-hmm. And so I had to look at the two different beliefs, because one of them was a conditioning and one of them was a true belief that was mine. And I had to work out which one was right. Now, you would think, as a spiritual woman, I would have gone, he can love all women. But I recognized that that was a spiritual belief that I had been conditioned myself to believe, because this is the label I put myself as being spiritual. But when I really dug deep, I wanted him to be with me, and I was special in his life.
Yes.
And so that was my truth.
Yes.
And so because of that, we ended up leaving and, separating. And then I found Tim, right? Now, Tim is, you can see, he really loves other women and blah, blah, blah. But I know that I am his woman. And I know that he is my man. And so there's a shift in the vibration and the perception of what it is. And through that, we've got this amazing connection.
I love it. Beautiful. As humans, we can get caught up in what truth should be the right truth, when, what if everyone's truth is the right truth for themselves, and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful.
It's being able to recognize what is your truth, take away all the layers, that's where epigenetics comes into it, right? Where it could be that we've got all these layers of beliefs from, generations prior to us. So what is it that I believe? What is it I want to experience? What is my truth? And, that just takes a little bit of self-awareness and digging in deep and recognizing that we're not broken, and being able to clear those patterns so that we can come back to that sovereignty of who we are underneath all of that.
Beautiful. I love that so much, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for such an interesting chat about this today. And I know that there will be listeners wondering, what would that look like to go deeper with you? So do you have a website? Where can our listeners find you?
So I have the best one would be my Linktree, because there's a few different things on there. I do have a website. We're in the middle of changing it a bit, but it's ElizabethElenor.com. And Eleanor spelled ELENOR, so it's a little bit different. my link tree has, free meditations on there, our Facebook community. I do run a group called a course called Calling in the One.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, for women that are interested in finding their partner. And also there's a few women that are drawn to that already have partners. So it's not just for women that are single. But yeah, there's a few courses that I run just to understand who you are. So my link tree would be the best one, but would you be able to put that into
Absolutely.
the notes on the screen? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll pop those links in the episode details there. And just thank you so much again for coming on today. For those of you listening, if you enjoyed today's episode, please consider leaving us a review. Thank you again, Elizabeth, and I'll talk
My
to you
pleasure. Thank
next
you.
time. Thank you.
Take care.